All right, so you start off by, of course, by, like you do anything, you start off by making your wood stock. One here is 11 inches, and I do have it already marked, but the seat's going to be a 9 by 11. So they're not very big stools. I mean, it could be 12, it could be 15, you make whatever you want here. But I do have a little tip here. This is a, what do you call this? A carpenter square, or I don't know what you call it, but very useful little tool. But I usually use it for cutting things off, if I'm going to use a skill saw. So I'll put this piece of wood on here. I mean, it could be hot glued on, it could be anything screwed on, but I just have rivets in it to hold it on here. And the idea here is that you run this, first thing you do is you put your saw up here, like this. You see that, Yeah. So you put your saw up here and cut it off. So there you know where the blade is. So every time if I want it to be right here, then I leave a blade width and just saw it off. Let's let me go down here like that. So it comes up to the line about the thickness of a blade. If I'm cutting that off, I'm cutting it the other way, depending on where the line is, then the blade would be right up beside that piece of wood. Right, the spindles are 13 inches, and for a blank, it'll end up being cut down to 11, but right now they're 13. And I just use a block or two for the market because I'm going to rough cut it on the bandsaw. I don't really care as long as it's close to my inch and a half. Mark them across here. Then once I get them marked, I just take it over the bandsaw and cut it. I don't think you need to see me do that, but so let me just go cut these. So I made a little platform here at an angle, and it holds the wood always in the same position, so the corner is always in the same place. The lady I'm making them for told me that the last stool she had bought tipped over too easy. So I made these to where they line up pretty much perpendicular with the edge of it. So it's about a 6-degree off here, at an angle of about 6 degrees. And they seem to work pretty good or look pretty good. So we'll see after I get them together. I have so many of them to make. I'm going to use a lathe duplicator to make them. Right now, I know I have to make 16 of them because the lady wants 4 of these things, and then she has a friend that wants some. So anyway, I don't know how many I'll end up making. Probably a couple for my grandkids too, but I'm not good enough to do that many of them on the lathe free-handed. So I'm going to use a lathe duplicator. So what I've done is to draw out the pattern on a board. This is what a 1/2 inch, I guess, piece of plywood. And then I cut it out, and now I've got to smooth it up so that the following tool, I guess you call it, on the lathe duplicator works, and it'll follow right along that pattern and make several legs. So anyway, that's how I get started on this. Let me set it up, and then I'll show you how the lathe duplicator works. This is what I want to make, just some legs, but I want to make sure that they're long enough here to where I have stuff to cut off. I have waist down here and waist up here. I've got 1.5 inches in here for to go through my seat, and so I start off, even though this is going to be 11 inches from the bottom to the top of the seat is 11 inches. So I cut these at 13. So I've got a 13-inch block here that I'm going to make them out of. And to find the centers, I have a little center finder, which is nothing but a couple of blocks of wood that are tied together with a hole through it. It's got a hole through here to fit one of those little pencils, and I can bring the lead out like I want it, and just go with it. And no matter where it goes, even if it's not directly in the center, see, you see the little lines, but you can find the center very easy. If you wanted to get more accurate, you could move that up and down to where it fits exactly in the center.
Looks like we lost Bob. There he is. You're muted, Bob.
All right, am I back again?
We got you right now.
Yeah, let me share it again and start it back up.
No worries.
That it? Nope. Let's see here. Am I going
Excellent so far.
Well, I can't see it yet. Let's see. Is that going to do it? No. Now do you see
Starting
it?
to share screen. It's doing the share screen now.
Okay.
There it is.
Rectangle is not square, it's kind of oblong or something. But anyway, it always finds that center. But I like the little margin device. And it's fast. See this one here, it got 2 lines close together, and this one here is a little bit off. So it's a little bit smaller in this direction than it is that one probably. But I can still find the center very easily. Then I take that over with an awl and put a little hole in it so that I can start a drill. And I drill a little hole just to make it a little bigger so that I can have so it'll hold it in a live center. And also I use a spur drive on one end. So I'll also take this after I drill that hole. I'll take it and run it on a bandsaw and just put a little 1/8 inch X in here. So I cut it that way and then cut it again this way, and just about 1/8 of an inch deep, just as long as it's deep enough to hold the spur. And that's it. And then I start turning. Okay, so let me show you this. This is my lathe duplicator. You could easily make one if you didn't want to buy one. All it is something that fits in your ways. I mean, it could just be a little block here and anything to hold it on the ways. And up here, you have a piece that comes up behind and that you can mount your pattern in. Remember, we cut out that pattern before and made it. So I can clamp it down either this way, clamp it that direction, or these little nails have points. So you could have turned it and held it in the center with the 2 points on this. But anyway, this little table is just a platen, I guess, but it's just a table that this thing can slide on. And it can go up and down to where I can line this thing up in the center. Go directly in the center, a little cutting thing is in the center. And this you can make too. I mean, you see them making these all the time on YouTube. And they've got a cutter down here, just like I have. That's a little carbide cutter. And the top of this is another one they call a follower. So it would follow right along the side of this thing as you cut and make the pattern below. And it's pretty easy to do. I can turn out one of these in about 10 minutes. And they're all consistent. They all look exactly alike. And they turn out pretty fast. So let me put one on here and show you how that works. All right, so I have a turf cut in here. Drill that hole so that the spur drive has a point on it, and that point can go down in there. But right here is a little X I made, so the spur drive will fit in those. And the other end is just a hole so it goes in my live center. Well, that ought to do it. Let's see. Let me get some protection on here. I'm running fairly fast. I'm running about 26, 2700 RPM. So you want it kind of fast. You want the faster you go, the smoother it is, the better it cuts. All of these are going to cut rough just because it's pine. Making everything out of pine out of 2x6s or 2x10s. So they're all rough cut and they're going to be rough when I get through the press. So I'll have to come back and sand them, but smooth. It goes real fast. You take an 80 grit sandpaper on this pine and it smooths up real quick. Okay, so I'm done. And like I said, it just takes about 10 minutes, or maybe even less. But, it's not, you can see that I've got a bump right here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's just a bump in the pattern. I could have sanded that down, but I don't really care because I'm gonna come back and have to sand this anyway. So that little bump will sand away real easy. The main thing I want is to get, the majority of the pattern, the look of it, the shape of it, and everything else I can sand. So, that's all there is to turning one. Then I put it, after I get them all turned, then I'm gonna put them back up here and cut this to size without this, just on a regular lathe and a regular, bowl gouge or something, and, maybe a skew. And cut this to size to 1 inch. And then I can sand everything and, it'll be done. It's real rough, just, pine is gonna be rougher than anything, especially when you turn it that way. But it's just, nothing but a scraper and it's a real rough cut. But it sands up real quick. This is real quick. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn this in and sand it, so they go pretty fast. Press block just to make sure it fits. So if it doesn't, then I come back and scrape it a little more or turn it a little more, and until it does fit. And so that fits great. I am going to put a spline on it, just for look more than anything, but it will spread it apart a little bit. But that looks great. All right, so I've cut the legs. I've already turned all the legs and turned them off, parted them off, and then I want to make them all the same length. So the top of my little stool is 1.5 inches. It's a piece of 2 by 10. And so anyway, I now want to put a spline in them. So I've just made a little block here, and we're just going to cut a spline on the table saw. Let me go ahead and do that. And it makes a nice spline. I do want it against the grain. I don't want it going with the grain. I'm afraid it would split out down here. So I want to go against the grain. And my little spline is not going to go all the way through here anyway. It's not going to bottom out. It's just going to stop. It's only going to be about 3/4 of an inch long and bottom out. So it won't bottom out. All right, let me show you how I'm going to make those splines. You'll start out with just a plain block. It could be, as long as you have enough room to run it down, hold on to it as you push it through by the fence. It could be wider. You want to get further away from that blade. And it doesn't have to be this thick, you know, it only has to be as thick as your material is. You got 3/4 inch material and that's all it really needs to be. But the first thing you do is you go in and you make it flat, make it straight, and then you come back and you cut this really to the end, not all the way to the end. So let me go ahead and finish this and I'll show you. So you can see the curve that it cut in there. And that's what your board's actually gonna ride on. So this is gonna ride up against the fence. And this is gonna be, where your board goes. So your board is gonna be always riding in this little slot right here, up against this. And you move the fence over to where you make your spline as thick as you want it. And every time you push it through here, you push off another slice that's only that thick. So this is just really a push block. It's not doing anything other than pushing it through that blade. So let me straighten this up. Let me go ahead and cut this back. And then I'll show you the rest of it. Okay, so I want a zero clearance here. So I want to, instead of making this a zero clearance on each side of this blade, so it's only the width of the blade, I'm just going to use tape because there's not a whole lot of pressure. So I'm just going to put some tape up beside that blade and get in here. Great. Try it again. Maybe it'll come in here a little straighter. And now. It's just to give me a little bit of a deal here, so if it won't just drop down. And that's basically what I want. I just don't want it to fall through the hole. But I don't think it would anyway. Mine are gonna be thick enough to where I don't think I'm gonna have that problem, but just in case, we're going to try that. All right, so I have my notch cut. This is what's gonna push the wood through. And then I can just run this beside the fence and make that spline as thick as I want it, whatever angle I want it. And in this case, I wanted it at a little angle. So it is sitting here at a little bit of an angle. And this piece just needs to be wide enough where you can push it through without getting too close to the blade. My table saw right now is sitting too high for a lot of cutting on a table saw. It's really at the lathe height. So I needed to lower it, but I'm not gonna do it. Let me go ahead and cut some of these, and it doesn't take but about 5 of them, and I should be done. Forgot to turn it over. I have some perfect little oak shims that'll fit in there, and they're tapered. So these ought to work great. Yeah, just a different color than what I had. All right, so I have enough stock cut out or enough stuff cut out here for 8 stools. So anyway, now I'm ready to skin the bases. I've got to run them through a belt sander or something to planer, but it's going to be a planers. Put a snip on each end, snipe or whatever you want to call it. And so I'd rather do a belt sander, but drum sander, maybe that's what it's called. Anyway, I have to anyway because when you cut these holes out, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it chips out where it comes through. No matter how tight you think you're holding it, it still chips them out. So I've got to sand it. And also my boards are cut. They're not flat going across, not really flat. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand them and get rid of this breakout that it has on here. And then it'll be just about, well, I'll take that back. So it'll be ready to go, but still have to turn this edge off with a router. You router it and it ought to come out pretty easy. All right, so this is my drum sander that I made. It's on a 4-inch piece of PVC. And you can see the block, a little block in each end that was turned and fits inside, and then I've got it screwed in there. And I do have a coupling here that amounts to my spindle. And I'm using a live center on this end to hold this in. And I bought the sandpaper from Grizzly. It's a Velcro back stuff, so you put the Velcro on first, and then you wrap the sandpaper the opposite direction. And this happens to be an 80 grit, and I think 80 is going to be fine. It runs about 1,800, 2,000 for softwood and coarse grit. So you can vary the speed. You do turn this in reverse, or if you act, because I'm going to feed it from that side. If you can't turn your lathe in reverse, you can make one of these for your lathe. This is pretty simple, pretty easy to do. But anyway, I turn it in reverse because I want to feed it from this side. If I couldn't turn it in reverse, if it was always going this direction, I would want to feed it from the back. So that you're pushing against it instead of it's pulling it through there. And I did make a dust collection system that sits on top of it. It's a piece of PVC that I have heated up and widened out so it would fit over the drum. Piece of 4-inch PVC. And it just fits over the drum and working really good. I do let me talk about it a little more here. I think you've probably seen this in other videos, but this platen didn't have to be this thick. This is 2 pieces of 3/4 inch put together, glued together. And then I have a frame that actually sits down on the ways, or on, in my case, on these tubes. And I'm using just all thread here and some nuts to adjust it. So I can adjust either side to make the tension that I want or make it come straight up and down. And it's hinged at the back. This platen or this wood is hinged at the back onto a frame. So it's got 2 hinges in here. So it can raise up and down and go from about 4 inches up to nearly nothing here, and 22-inch piece. So it works great for me. I didn't have to go out and buy one, and I enjoyed making it. So anyway, I think like I said, I think there is a video out here showing more of this. But anyway, that is my drum sander. I just turn it in reverse here. Well, if I can turn it over. I do have a little push stick. I can push it through here. And the first pass, I'm going to get it on this side, and then make sure that they are flat on this side. You know, that's too far. I need to lower version. Hey, well, you know, you do it pretty rare, maybe, too short. Let me keep going with some of these. If I find one. Try to make a flat surface.
Have we lost the sound or is it just me?
I can't hear anything either, Brenda.
Okay.
It's the
It's
sound of
just
his
the
cord.
it's just the video, folks. Bear with it. Bob, are you getting anything on your side?
Let's see, now can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We got you now.
Yep.
Right, all right, good deal. Yeah, the phone started ringing. That's probably what started all that, what
Yeah.
made it. But it wasn't but a few more seconds left in that video anyway. But I just wanted to show you that. I wish more people would do videos. I know you can't, all do things in, 45 minutes or an hour's time. So, I think it would I think everybody would like to see what you do. So if you could do a video, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I agree, Bob. Thank you for propping that up as well. And then could you tell them what you use for your videos?
Yeah, I just use a Samsung phone. It's an Android phone. And then I use Kine Master or Kenny Master. It's KINE Master app that
Yep,
goes
Kenny
on your
Master.
phone. And it's the same thing I think that Heather uses, but she's the one that got me started in it, and it's real easy to use. It's not, I have used other programs trying to do videos, and they're pretty complicated. This one's not. This one is very simple, very easy to use, very easy to learn. A few simple steps every time.
Well,
And
I need one
it's a
that's
free app.
Yes,
I need one that's an editor for idiots because I have not found an editor yet that I can figure out how to use.
try this one. This one is very simple.
I
If
need
you
to be able to
any problems, give me a call and I'll walk you through it.
I need to be able to pick from this part of the video to this part of the video and
Yep.
hit delete and it gets rid of it.
Yeah,
And I haven't found one yet that works that way.
call me. I'll show you this one. This one works really great.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. Can we ask a couple of questions?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes,
Hey,
floor is open.
What kind of cutter Was it the on that cutter?
That's a triangle carbide cutter. You know, you can use any type of a cutter. It's just that that's what came with this. And, you know, and the triangle point also makes it even rougher. You know, even if I had maple on here, it would still be a rough cut just because it's that point cutting. You know, if you had like a little round carbide cutter, it's smoother, but you can't get in the corners. You can't get in the sharp
So,
area.
so can you change to both cutters?
Yeah, you can change it to any cutter you want.
I mean the round and the detail.
Yes, you could do it if you know every time you have to just make sure that it's the same distance away from that wood.
Right.
But these things are easy to make. There's, like I said, there's several videos out there on YouTube showing where people had made uh, these duplicators, you know, lathe duplicators. And you're just using wood to make it, and you know, carbide cutter on the bottom, and just anything for a follower on top. You know, and it doesn't even have to be a carbide cutter. I mean, you know, you could use your regular cutting tools, you know, like regular gouges. It's just anything that can cut that wood and be in the center of it. But it's real easy to do, guys. And it, you know, and like this, you know, I would have had to make 32 legs, and there's no way I can do 32 of them alike. I probably could do 4, you know, so.
It was a really nice setup. I liked your drum sanding setup along with your dust collection hood that went over it. That's slick.
Yeah, that's something else that everybody can make, you know, whether it does take a larger lathe, you know, mine will do a 16-inch, it's an 8-inch throw on it. But, you know, you could do it with a 12, you know, if you just had a 12-inch, a 6-inch throw. It just limits the amount of sanding room how thick your piece can be to sand. But these are easy to make. The most of the wood that you see there is just a shroud, just a dust collector, just to keep the dust from flying everywhere. It's not supporting your drum. It's not supporting, you know, the wood that's going under it, you know, that's going through it. The frame actually sits down on your ways, and that little platen hinges on the back of it, on the back of that frame, and raises up to that sanding disc that I made, you know, drum I made. Easy to do.
All right, great stuff. Anybody else have any questions for Bob?
Great demo. Bob.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. That was an excellent
It
video
it
demo.
really was. I have a couple of friends that in the years that they have shopsmith, and I never saw all the different things that you did. I questioned it as you were demonstrating. Um, that it is a very versatile machine.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it really is.
But everything I showed tonight, you can do on, you know, your lathe. That, you know, it's
Well,
not.
no, right, no, but I was interested in what the shopsmith does. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I
Yeah.
was very interested in what I was seeing. I really was.
Yeah, I look at it as you know, everybody always downgrades the shopsmith, and it does have its
Well,
problems. I've,
no, it has its problems, but it was the thing. It was the thing, and it started all this other stuff.
that's right, it did.
It really did. I mean, my dad. I mean, he's the one who got me started in this stuff, and yes, the tools that were made back then, they were designed, you know, they were different, and he never shopsmith. He has something pretty close to it,
Uh-huh.
and yes,
It's, it's just a 2-horse machine that I can do anything with. That's the way I look at it.
he had a small garage, a single car garage downstairs, and I'd say to him all the time, "Hey, Dad, what you doing, man?" making some bunch of sawdust.
That's right. Yeah, if you don't have room, that's why I got it to begin with, was I didn't have room. You know, I had a 2-car garage and a car in one side, and I got a little shop on the other side, and no room for all these different pieces. So it's worked out well for me.
Yes, yes, that's a very great machine.